What's up guys, Visual here, but you can call me James, and before the video starts, I'd just like to make 3 really quick notices. The first one is that this video is for Ziovo's YouTubers of the Month competition. A link to Ziovo's channel will be in the description down below if you'd like to check him out. The second notice I have is that this video is filmed on my brand new Nikon D3300 DSLR camera. It's a really good camera, so expect some more in real life videos from me in the future. And the third and final thing I have to mention is that I have a brand new intro. You guys will see it. It's made by Masters. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description if you'd like to get an intro off him. He does really good intros for a really cheap price, so make sure you check him out. So without further ado guys, let's just get straight on with the video. It's caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire. So guys, now that you've got Photoshop open, you can start with the Far Cry header. So all I've done is type in Far Cry Primal, get the second image. This may not be the second image, and you can also use any image you want, but I think this second image looks really cool. So just right click, copy image, go into Photoshop, make sure you have a header template open. If you don't have a header template, just go to File, New, and make the sizing 3000 by 1000 and the resolution, put it up to like 200 or 300, and now you can press Ctrl V and you can copy and paste that image. So as you can see, the header template is sort of a weird sizing, so we're going to have to increase the size of this image. So to do this, just press Ctrl minus, zoom out, press then Ctrl T. If you're on a Mac, it will obviously be different, but once you press Ctrl T, just hold down Shift, and as you can see, you can make it a little bit bigger, and you cannot reduce the quality. So we're just gonna let's put it over here. I want to still see the mammoth's eyes, so we're gonna keep it like that. And yeah, we're gonna work with this. So the first thing we're gonna do is make our background layer a black color. So make sure it's full black if it's not already, and make sure the opacity is set to 100%. So once you've done that, you can then just reduce the size of the opacity of this, So I'm just going to reduce it to, let's say, 85%, because you don't want it fully black and you don't want it standing out too much. So make it around about 85%. And you can now go ahead and continue. So the first thing we're going to do is add some lighting to this. So make a brand new layer, go over to the brush tool, and make sure you have the full black color selected, 0000, and make sure your brush size is on around about 800. And now you can just zoom out, press Ctrl minus once again, and just add this black brush around this, the ends of the banners, as you can see right here. Just make it so it's sort of like a vignette thing. I think that's how you say it, but yeah, sort of something like that. Then you can just lower down the opacity of this. I recommend, let's say 40%. 40% looks good. Maybe we can lower it even more. Let's say 25%. And the next thing we're going to do is make a brand new layer once again and add this black effect, but don't make it as big as last time. I just nudged my camera right there, but don't make it as big as last time, and then just lower down the opacity even more to around about 15%. And yeah, that looks good. And now we're going to add some more lighting. So we're going to add some ambient lighting. So make a brand new layer, go to the white color, make sure it's full white, and then just go ahead and dab this right in the middle of your header, as you can see right now. Hopefully the camera is in focus with me as well, but yeah, just dab it in the middle, and then you can lower down the opacity of this, let's say to around about 40%. That looks good. And we're also going to make a brand new layer, and because there is fire here, we're going to work with this. So we're going to zoom in, we're going to make our brush size much smaller, so we're going to do it to, let's say, 50, and we're just going to add this white on the fire and sort of make it come off the fire and onto the object. So we're going to put it on to the man himself over there, and we're just going to add some of these effects, these brush effects over there. And now you can put this on many different blend modes. You can test out overlay. Overlay looks quite good. You can just do normal and then lower that down a lot. You can do soft light. I think overlay works best, so let's do overlay, and let's lower this down quite a bit. Let's lower it down to around about 35%, and I still think there should be more lighting on the fire. So make a brand new layer and just add more lighting here, and you can just lower this down. You don't need to put it on overlay. You can if you want, but I'm just going to put it on normal. Let's actually put it on screen, normal or screen, and then just lower that down to, let's say, 10% opacity. That looks good. And now we can continue with some more lighting. So another thing I'm going to do right here is make a brand new layer, and we're just going to add a sort of white brush on the eyes of the mammoth, and we're going to add some parts on his tusks. That's the word I was looking for. And then you can just set this to either overlay, or you can set it to something else. I'm going to set mine to overlay, and we're actually going to erase this part here because it's a bit too bright. And I think overlay 100% actually looks quite good, but we're going to lower it even more than that. Let's say 60%. Yeah, 60% looks good. And I think looking at the header itself now, it already looks quite good, but I think we can mess around with the colors a little bit more. I'm going to bump this up even more, the opacity of the actual image, let's say 95%, just so it stands out a little bit more. And because I've done that, I'm going to increase the opacity on the black sides of the header. So that looks good so far. What else can we do? I did actually make a grunge pack, so let me go ahead and open that up. I had to duck because my blue snowball mic is in the way of my view over there. But this is a grunge pack that I really quickly made. I'll leave a link to this in the description, and it's got a bunch of grunge effects that you can add to this header. So I'm going to go to grunge, and I'm just going to drag all of these in and see which ones work best. This is the part where you can choose what you want to do. If you want to copy me, then that's fine, but I'm going to be doing my own stuff. So first of all, I'm going to add the first one that's called extra. It's already on 12%, but I'm going to lower that down to, let's say, 8%. That looks good. The next thing we're going to do is add the second extra over here. This gives it a really old look. I really like this, and it's on overlay at the moment, but we're going to lower this down to, so let's say, 25%. That looks good. And what else can we do here? As you can see, tons of grunge effects. I'm going to add this one. So at the moment, we've got the top three all selected. This one's on 12%, 25%, and 8%. So taking a look at more grunge effects, I don't know how well this one will work out. I think this is sort of like a papery feel. Let me just lower down the opacity of this and see what it looks like. You can go ahead, add this if you want. I'm going to actually add it, but I'm going to put it on 5%. I think that looks good. What else we got here? The texture 8. This one looks really good on this header, so I'm going to keep the texture 8. That looks really good. I'm going to keep it at this percentage as well, and every now and then just hold down shift on the bottom and shift on the top one and zoom out, press Ctrl T, and just make sure it's covering the whole banner, because sometimes it doesn't cover it all and it sort of gives weird effects on the side. So let's look at this one. Not really feeling that one. Let's have a look at this one as well. This one looks good, but with a lowered opacity, let's say around about 10%. So we've got texture 12 on there. I've left out texture 11. Let's have a look at this one. If we set it to overlay right now, see, it sort of makes it a bit too bright. So if we lower this down, maybe it still looks quite bad. So I'm going to leave that. I've got texture 12 set to 10 opacity, texture 8 set to 13 opacity on normal. Texture layer 7 copy on 5%, layer 9 12%, extra the second one on 25%, and the first extra on 8%. I actually couldn't be bothered to name all of these, but you can go ahead and copy them from the pack if you wish, or you can just use your own grunge effects. But I think these grunge effects work really well with this header, and one of them is really annoying me because it's adding a line at the bottom. Let's think it's this one and this one. So let's just press Ctrl T and make these a bit bigger, as you can see right now, so it covers the whole header. So that's looking really good already, but I feel like there should be some more effects that we can add. So obviously we need to do the text, and there's many ways you can do this. I have one in mind, and that's to make a brand new layer. Go over to the rectangle marquee tool actually, and just make a rectangle where the mammoth's tusks are. Just right click, go to fill, just pick any color for now because it really doesn't matter. And I don't know why I deleted the path, but you can hide this for now, and then just go over to where the tusk is and just get the pen tool and find the pen tool here and just pen tool out the white box. But you obviously have to hide the white box to be able to do this, just so you can see where everything is going. Let's have a look here. So as you can see, we've pen tooled out the white box right now, and we can just go like this, right click, make selection, hit enter, and then press delete. And as you can see, it looks like the white box is behind the tusk. And one more thing we're going to do is make a brand new layer. Keep it at the size 50 brush, but we're going to go to black and just sort of make a black outline around the box. Right click, go to create clip and mask, and then lower this down quite a bit. Let's say to around about let's say to 27%. That looks good. And as you can see, it looks like there's a drop shadow on that, so that sort of makes it add a almost 3D effect actually to the header itself. So we definitely need some grunge effects on this text box itself. So right click this, control click this and control on that one, and press control E so you can merge them. And you can even name this box if it helps you with your design. So we're going to go back to the grunge pack actually, and we're going to grab let's say both of the ones called extra. Let's grab the extra grunge effects, and let's see what they look like on the box right here. Let's just put them both over here. Right click, create clip and mask once again, and as you can see, that already makes the box look a whole lot better and adds a sort of grunge effect to it. So we're gonna also drag in, let's see what grunge effect will look good. We're gonna drag in texture 12, just drag that into the header, and then just make sure some of the black bits are on the box. Then right click, create clip and mask once again, and you can even increase this if it's not showing up as much. I'm going to definitely increase it because it's not showing up very well. Maybe we can change the blend mode, changing the blend mode to normal, and just lower down the opacity to, let's say, 15%. That looks good. If you guys aren't following along, I am sorry, but we are now going to add a layer style to the box, so like a drop layer style, drop shadow. And as you can see, just go to drop shadow, and you can change the opacity, and I'm just going to put it on 50%, looks good. And we're going to change the size to 18, and the distance we're going to put to 6. So you can pause the video, copy down these settings if you wish, but I can't go and say what every setting is because it's just going to take way too long to actually do. So now what we're going to do is grab our text layer, and we're just going to type in text on this box. So we're going to say, what text should we put? Let's actually write Far Cry. Let's actually just write Far Cry. Oh, I don't know why it deleted there. And now we need to find a good font to use for this. So as you can see, you can get like a grungy font like this. I think that one works best. I haven't actually tried out many fonts. If you want to try out fonts like this, just press Control J, and that will like duplicate the layer so you can see what that font looks like. Let's have a look here. Let me disable this one, and we're just going to see if we can find a better font, and I'll be back with you guys if I do find one. So guys, I think I found the font that I want to be working with. I'll just tell you the name. It's called DK Umbilical, I can't really see that from here, Umbilical Noose I think it's called. I'll leave a link to it in the description, as well as everything else like the grunge pack and stuff like that. So I've just typed in Far Cry. Let's actually change that. Let's change that to visual. And we're gonna actually duplicate this. So duplicate the text layer and just type in art on the other one, as you can see here, just so we get the same size in. And now we can decrease the size of this. I think that looks good, and we can, I think what would work best with this is rotating the text actually. So let's just rotate the text and sort of make it look like that. We may need to put this above these, so let's just right click, create clip and mask again. So make sure you've still got the clip and mask on the box, and yeah, the text looks good already, but there's obviously some stuff that we're going to be doing with it. So let's just do this and increase the text a little bit more. That looks good. So make sure you rotate the text because it makes it look a whole lot better. As you can see here, the text rotated just adds a sort of grungy effect that it doesn't when it's not rotated. You can have it like this, it's completely up to you, but I think the text slightly rotated, maybe not as much as I have now, but slightly rotated looks very nice and sort of adds to the effect. So now what we're going to do is add some grunge effects to the text. So let's have a look. Keep opening up the CC pack here, but let's add this text. I'm going to keep the color of the text as black, and to rasterize the text, just press Control on both of them. Control E to merge them, and it will already be rasterized. So now we can create clip and mask on this, and we can increase that, as you can see. So we've got texture 8, clip and mask onto the text with, let's say, a 65% opacity. That looks good. And yeah, the header is already looking good so far, but I feel like there's some more effects we can do. So we're going to go to the box, and we're actually going to group all of these layers so they're all grouped, and we're going to Control J, and this is going to be the backup layer. So let's name it backup layer box. Backup layer box. I just put a P in there, but yeah, backup layer box. And now we can right click this and we can merge the group so it's one whole layer, and we can delete that backup. And I think what we should do is add some sort of brush effects just so it looks like the box is a bit worn out. So we're gonna add the brush tool, we're gonna change the sizing, and we're gonna try and find a brush effect that we can add, sort of like these brush effects as you can see here. And if we do it on the eraser, that may work. If you don't have these brush effects, of course you're probably not going to, but I will try and leave a link to them in the description maybe if I can find, or just type in brush effects, grungy effects or something like that. And if we hit that there, I don't know why it's coming out with a certain color. I'm gonna go ahead and try and find a brush one anyway, and I'll be back with you guys when I do find one. So guys, I found a couple brushes I do like. I'm just gonna add them in with the sort of eraser tool, and as you can see, it adds a really good effect. And now we're gonna go and press on the brush tool. Because the eraser one's not working, we're just gonna add these brush effects in, and then we're gonna clip and mask it so it sort of deletes it, if that makes sense. But we're gonna add these brush effects right now. Hopefully we can find some good ones, because I did find some, but see if you, oh no, we may need to make a new layer and then actually add them. So let's just do this, add sort of brush effects here. Yeah, you see that looks good. And if we create clip and mask, it will add them into the box as you can see here, and then we can duplicate this texture and we can actually add this texture onto that as well. I don't know why it won't let me here, but let me just actually, let's right click, release clip and mask, release clip and mask. If you guys aren't following along with this, I do understand, but because it is quite hard to actually get. But we're gonna go to overlay, not overlay, let's just put it on normal and lower the opacity down even more. Let's say to 20% looks good. And as you can see, the header is looking really good already, and we're not even complete. I definitely feel like this needs a CC, so we're going to go to my CC pack and we're just going to drag in all of the CCs. If you don't have my CC pack, I'll leave a link to it in the description. But as you can see, the CCs make a whole lot of a difference. Number one already makes it look good, so let's put number one on it, 90%. Let's see if we can find any other good ones as well. You see there's tons of CCs that you may like that I may not, so just mess around with the CCs, see if you can find one that you like that fits the banner. This 12 looks good, but maybe with a lowered opacity, so let's put number 12 on, lower the opacity to 20%. Let's just keep looking, see if we can find one. So see, 14 looks good, let's lower the opacity of that, 20%. Let's have a look here. This one looks good, number 16. Let's add that and lower the opacity of this. Make sure you lower the opacities of the CCs and don't put them on a full percent, because it just doesn't make it look any good. So let's have a look here. This last one, number 20, doesn't look too bad, but I think it's a bit too dark for what we want the banner, the header to look like. Sorry, so just reduce the opacity of the one of the CCs. Mess around with the CCs, because you don't want your header the exact same. Even though this is a tutorial, you don't want your header the exact same as me. So I think that looks really good right now. There's obviously some finishing effects that we will add in the effects bit, but if you want to go ahead and add some more text here, say for instance, you can do so, but I think this looks good like it is. Maybe we can just grab, let's find the box effect. Is this the box? Let's merge these so we know. Yeah, so this is the box. You could even extend the box over to here, for instance, like that. I know it's not going to work, but you can extend the box. You don't have to have it the same size as me. It's just all my personal preference. You don't have to go with what I am doing. But we're going to make one new final layer, and we're going to grab the black brush once again, the normal brush with 0 hardness, and we're just going to add this black effect on the side once again, lower the opacity, and we're going to add one more white effect on the side as well right here, and lower the opacity of this. And now there's one more thing I would do: merge all of these layers, group them all, then duplicate that, press Ctrl E to merge it, duplicate it once again, and as you can see, it's already getting rid of some parts of it. But if we go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, as you can see, it will blur it. Now if you grab your eraser tool with the zero hardness brush, you can then go ahead and erase the parts that you do want of the banner, and it just makes it look a whole lot better. As you guys can see, you can erase parts that you don't need and they can be blurred, and yeah, it looks so much better. Now we can lower this opacity of that. Let's lower it to say 74%. Now merge these once again, click on both of them, Control E to merge, you guys know this already. Control J to duplicate that layer, go to filter, click other, high pass, and this effect is going to look really good on this header. So click high pass, go to the blending options, click overlay, and as you can see, that makes it look a whole lot better. We're not going to actually put this on 100%, we're going to lower it, let's say 95%. 95% looks good, and as you can see, this header looks really nice. I really like how it's turned out. I think there were some more things that we could have added, but that's obviously all up to you. This is just how to edit the image, what text I would recommend and things like that. But once you've copied my tutorial, you can then go ahead and add your own things. But anyways guys, I do hope you have enjoyed the video. This has been Visual or James, and I'm out. Peace.